So Diego, we all watched you score and run to the corner to celebrate for the national team, the big old smile on your face.
Yep.
Is that as happy as you've ever been on a soccer field?
Yeah, I think that Guatemala game was pretty exciting. I think it was the biggest game that I played at that time. And yeah, there's a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions, and yeah, very proud.
What feelings are you experiencing now that you had a great tournament, your national team had a great tournament? Once you're back, how do you feel?
Yeah, they've all went away now. I think those first couple, days after were very intense with emotions and feelings, but I think now it's kind of just solely strict on RSL now. I'm really focused here, and now for the game on Saturday. That's kind of how it is, quick turnaround, and yeah, ready to go.
How grueling is a national team schedule given that you're constantly switching cities? It's like a long road trip.
Yeah, it's difficult, very difficult. I think we were in 8 different cities in a month. And this thing says it wants me to unmute it, the host. Sorry, guys. But I think, yeah, it's difficult. Train, play, travel. I think recovery is very important. That's something that this camp has taught me, that the recovery and, taking advantage of the staff here and the people that are here, trying to help you is really goes a long way when it comes to, a long period of time.
Is that the biggest lesson you learned, or are there other lessons you learned?
No, I think, yeah, the recovery one was up there, that how much big of a difference it makes with, 3 days of time to rest between games and traveling and stuff, and making sure you're feeling your best to perform at a high level.
Can you describe the energy underneath that international spotlight for those of us who haven't experienced it? And just being 4th of July weekend, so much patriotism and national pride on the line as well.
Yeah, it was cool. I think the support that we received was crazy, and I think everybody gave us that extra motivation that we needed. And yeah, to represent your country at an international level is a feeling that you can't really put into words. The amount of proud and honor and grateful you are to be there to represent the crest is awesome. So I think that's the biggest thing.
What's your biggest takeaway from it all that you feel can help you personally here with RSL and your club here?
Yeah, I think one thing is the leadership, going over there and performing for your country and doing very well, and now bringing that here and keeping that same mindset, right? To perform here, to help the players, help the team on the field, but even off the field, making sure, being more of a leader. Before I wasn't, and I think now this kind of gave me that sense of like, I learned things, and maybe bringing back that stuff here to RSL so the guys here can really take advantage of, like I said, the recovery, the mindset of going into big games and stuff like that.
What was your conversation with Pablo after returning?
Yeah, it was good. I think, it was him telling me that he's very proud of me and that I had a great tournament, and I think coming back here and, seeing how I'm feeling after a big trip for me, a big month, and then now really getting back into it and seeing, putting me back onto what I missed while I was gone.
The club's been in a pretty good run of form while you've been gone, three in a row undefeated. How has that felt watching from afar, I guess?
Yeah.
What do you feel like has been going well that you can now kind of jump back into and help keep that momentum going?
Yeah, it feels really good. I think I watched all 3 games, and I saw that the team was, that something clicked to feel like that the team is running more, is pushing more, are fighting harder, and I think I've known that we have the quality in players to do things, and I think now seeing that they have that extra, little fight in them that is helping them with, whether that's the final third or keeping, I think I saw that just the extra fight in them has allowed us to get that extra thing. That's what we needed, because the quality of players has always been there.
Now that you tested your level against very important national teams, for you, how do you feel like, or in what areas can you still grow as a player?
Yeah, I think it was that was one of the coolest things, is that I put myself to test against great players around the world that are playing at very high levels, and to compete with them and do well against them. It really boost my confidence for one of them, because it really showed me that I can perform at these high levels, but at the same time, it allowed me that there are other players out there that are doing things well that I need to match, that I need to become better at, and different areas of the game that I think I could still learn. I think tactically there are some areas that I would still like to grow in, and that's something that here with the coaching staff and of course with the coaching staff of the U.S. that can help me moving forward.
Breaking into the national team's a goal and Gold Cup is nice, but it's not the ultimate goal. Do you feel like you bettered yourself in terms of putting yourself in position for the big dance for the World Cup next year and everything?
Yeah, I think every opportunity you get to wear the crest, you have to take it, right? And I think every chance you get and every time you perform is another step closer, right? But at the end of the day, I think you spend 85% of the time here with your club. All the players do. So I think performing with your club is the biggest thing. And then now when you go put on the crest, it's about performing in those moments and what you've done leading up to that to allow you to have a good week with the national team. So I think the biggest thing is to continue to perform here with RSL and make me feel the best and most confident going into the next time I'm able to wear the crest.
After that Guatemala game, there was a lot of talks about, and Diego Luna's agent must be getting a lot of calls from teams around the world interested in his talents. Have you felt any of that increased interest in your talents after the Gold Cup?
Well, there's definitely social media talks, right, and stuff like that. But I'd hope my agent is busy, right? That's soccer, right? So I think the whole thing in that regarding to that is just that's his job, my agent, to take calls and whoever's calling. And for me, it's about performing on the field and then let him handle all that stuff. But yeah, social media, you get on Instagram, you get on Twitter. There's things flying everywhere, positive, negative. But I'm really starting to try and get off that stuff because it really is just kind of draining when you see your face on so many posts, positive or negative. It's just kind of, yeah. But yeah.
Diego, on the final against Mexico
Yeah.
in the World Cup, what do you feel it went wrong? Because you were playing really well, and in the final we didn't see the same national team that we saw previously.
Yeah, I think it was a difficult game. I think they pinned us back really, really hard, and I think that didn't allow us to get out. I think we were in our half most of the time. I think I was playing a deeper role and defensive role more than I like, right? I think I needed to get on the ball more. I needed to find the pockets, and I think we just struggled keeping the ball. That being said, we still, kept the game very close, and it only came down to, like you said, moments, set pieces, and stuff like that allowed them to take the win. And I think it was just an awesome experience. Besides that, like to play in front of 75,000 fans in a stadium like that, it was unbelievable. And the noise and the adrenaline, the emotions, it was an amazing experience overall.
Did you have family in Houston, or were they watching in California or Mexico or both? Or?
Yeah, I had like 10 of my family members there in Houston and for the final. So for them to witness that and experience that was also really cool and exciting.
In 11 months, we're going to have the World Cup here. How do you see yourself, Diego, in 11 months?
Yeah, I think this is the year to give it all, right? I think this is the year to make sure I'm at my best, and then see what happens from there, because the final decision is up to the staff, is up to whoever they see is ready at that time. But I think for now, this year coming in is the year to give it all and to prepare myself the best I can to be in that roster.
Which players during your time with the new men's national team did you bond with the most during your experience there?
Say that question again?
Which players on the U.S. men's national team did you bond with the most while you're gone?
I'd say I was with Jack McGlynn a lot, Paxton, Aronson, a bunch of the ex-Philly guys. But I think we connected. When you're gone for that long, you got to connect with everybody. So I think Chris Richards, Tyler Adams, they're all boys now, and I think it's cool to make these camps, make friendships that you don't really have before. But now that you're there for a month, you get to know people, and now you got friends to text and talk about. So that's pretty cool.
There's been a lot of speculation about whether it's to prepare for a World Cup, whether it's better to be in a bigger league or playing more often. The chance to stay with RSL and play all the time, how valuable is that as you try to maintain your place in the group over the next 11 months?
Yeah, I think playing time is one of the biggest things, right? No matter where you're playing, I think if it isn't obvious enough to see that this past Gold Cup team had many guys from the MLS, and we did extremely well, made it to the final, and I think that goes to show that, you know, it doesn't matter the league you're playing in. It's just about playing and performing at where you're at. But yeah, definitely, I think, like I said, playing time is the most important. So wherever all these players are playing, wherever I'm playing, making sure that I'm getting on the field and getting minutes is the biggest thing.
Do we want to go to Mattie Casey on Zoom for a question?
Say that again.
What do you feel like you've proved to yourself and to others throughout this tournament?
I could say that maybe people thought that, you know, like people say playing in the MLS, you weren't going to be able to perform on the international stage. And I think this tournament really helped prove myself that I could play at a top level. And yeah, and I think that really helped, and yeah.
When you came back from Argentina, you told us that you learned there that you needed to play with confidence. You needed to have confidence in all aspects of your game. What did you learn most about yourself in this Gold Cup tournament?
I think playing freely, playing with joy is something that I'd say put into routine is the biggest thing. Like understanding what works for me, and that's something that I've struggled with my whole career, is kind of the routine and what works for me, what mindset I have to be in to perform. And I think for me, this tournament really helped me realize to not overthink, to not put pressure on yourself, and to just do it because you enjoy the game and you love it. And I think that's works for me, and I'm going out there and just, like I said, doing what I'm doing and doing what I love to do, and that allows me to play my best. So I think once I start to put pressure or get into my own head, I think things are more difficult for me. So that was the coolest thing that I learned about myself.
Awesome. And then last one for me, Mauricio throughout the tournament praised not just your technical ability, but your maturity and your drive. What kind of conversations were you having with him and his staff about your future?
Yeah, I think Pochettino really helped me in that sense, and I think really helped me to find the space that I thrive the most in, with the mindset and also on the field, allowing me to be free, allowing me to be confident and comfortable in these camps, in these tough situations, and giving me that freedom, giving me the trust to just do what I do and be free and have fun out there. So he really allowed me to do that, and then always just comforting me in the sense of like, you're here for a reason, and we know what you're capable of, so just go out there and do what you do. And that really gave me the freedom and confidence to perform.
Thank you very much, Diego.
You're welcome.
Go ahead, Fran.
As a Mexican American, Diego, there are many people, many Latinos here in Utah and in the U.S. that see yourself and reflect in themselves. What message can you share to them? Difficult situations nowadays with the Hispanic community in the country, but what's a good message you can send to them?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think for me, you can see that, you know, I want to be an example for the Mexican Americans right now, and I think, you know, in the future and whatever, but for me, it's about, you know, being kind, being supportive of each other, and I think through the tough times that are happening right now is everybody sticking together, being smart, being positive, and I think for me, it's just, you know, it's kind of hard because, you know, people see me as, you know, a soccer player, right? But I think it goes further that I'm exactly in the same shoes that they are. And, you know, I just happen to be good at soccer. So I think for me, it's really cool to bond and connect. And I think sticking together is a very big thing, and understanding that, you know, we're here and yeah. Yeah.
Going from Pablo's style of coaching here to Pochettino's, and then now back to Pablo's after a month-ish.
Yeah.
How is that transition? Or are they both just similar enough to say, do your thing?
No, there's definitely, you know, differences, and that's what makes it difficult, you know, going in and out of international duty and coming back to club, because you really switch your mindset onto two different things. But I think you hit it right on the spot that there is a big similar thing in my role for the team that I'm playing at, is that they both give me that freedom and both give me that, confidence to do what I do and get on the ball and create chances. But at the same time, I think the defensive roles on with the national team and here are a little bit different. And I think that's where, my mindset and has to really, switch on and off are more on the defensive side of the ball rather than the attacking.
How are they different?
I'd say on the defensive side, with the national team, here with the RSL, I'd say that I play more, I guess we press a little more, we stay higher on the field, and with the national team, they ask for more recovery, more, I'd say, I would say a little bit more defensive effort than here at RSL, but that also plays with the type of teams that we're playing against at the international level, so I think it calls for more tracking back, more being more focused and locked in, because at the international level there's teams that do things you don't really see and different things, overloading, putting guys in different positions. So I think being more locked in on that part really makes the switch harder.
Diego, have you let yourself think about what it's going to be like to be back in front of 20,000 fans on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's something that I have been thinking about a lot throughout this camp, is that I can't wait to get back and put on, the RSL jersey and in front of the fans that have been amazing support while I was gone. I think the support, and there was a video that RSL posted of the fans and, saying words to me, and it kind of, it made me tear up, and I'm excited to come back and play there and score goals in front of our fans, because, without them, without RSL, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now, so I'm extremely grateful and I'm excited.
What are your goals for the second half of the season?
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I think for the team, it's we got to really finish strong, right? I think we got to put in a good ending to the season and really clinch playoffs, of course, right? That's the number one goal, is making playoffs. And then for me personally, I think, double-digit goals, double-digit assists is still something I'm looking for. And then continuing to just improve myself throughout this remainder of the season, going into next year to really, go after it.
Anything else for Diego?
Is coming back just back into the comfort zone here, or have you noticed over the past, now that RSL is starting to pick up speed, that there's enough of a difference of, oh, all right, here we go?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like a comfort zone. I think, being in your own home and outside of soccer, definitely. But I think with the club and here, it's the same thing. You're fighting to get on the field. Nothing's going to change just because of what you're doing outside. You're still fighting for a spot. Training, you have to train hard. And then the job's not done. You're here. We got a game on Saturday, and I got to perform there. There's a game on Wednesday, got to perform there. And I think that's the cool thing about this, is that, I feel good after this tournament, and now I'm coming right back into club and ready to perform for RSL and keep my foot on the gas, because I'm feeling good.